Hi, this is Dee at Aloha, Astro, and we're looking at a new moon in the fixed fire sign of Leo, Sunday, August 4th, 2024. It occurs at 7:13 in the morning Eastern Time at 12 degrees 34 minutes of Leo. Let's take a look at the forecast. New moon in Leo, Sunday, August 4th, ushers in a quest for meaning and a time of revisiting old stories, myths, and beliefs when you initiate a creative life scripting process, which will probably have some plot twists, character changes, and require some editing, as the new moon in a fixed fire sign associated with the fifth house of romance, dating, creativity, hobbies, children, competition, recreation, and luck forms a sextile aspect with Mars conjunct Jupiter in Gemini, as well as a sesquisquare aspect with Neptune retrograde in Pisces conjunct the North Node in Aries, just a day before Mercury in Virgo turns retrograde, re-entering Leo on August 14th. Supernatural, fantastical, divinely orchestrated, or strange and practically unbelievable encounters or events could take place due to Neptune and the North Node participating in a Yod aspect pattern, which involves Pluto retrograde in Aquarius and Venus at the final degree of Leo conjunct Mercury in Virgo, while Mercury-Venus square Uranus in Taurus and Mars-Jupiter. Saturn retrograde in Pisces square to Mars and Jupiter in Gemini can trigger caution or judgment when you meet with people, places, or ideas which are foreign to you. And Chiron in Aries square to Pluto in Aquarius could make you fear rejection or failure if you move out of a comfort zone. But Chiron trine to Venus Mercury is telling you that pioneering energy and bold moves are necessary and logical. A minor grand trine aspect pattern of Neptune and the North Node, Pluto, Uranus, Mars, and Jupiter suggests that you take what you can from the old and apply it toward the creation of something new. Imagination and creativity are directed toward change, growth, and transformation, but leave room for spirituality and the unseen forces of nature and the cosmos to play their part in whatever you wish to create at this new moon. I would also suggest that if you want a deeper insight into the energy of this new moon, go to my site, alohaastro.com, click on blog, and you'll find yesterday's post for the moon when it entered Leo in the early degrees and the energy that that created. I give a little more insight into the dates coming up ahead that are important, such as Mercury retrograde, when it begins, the Lionsgate portal week, and its peak is the 8th. So this will give you a little bit more of a feeling of what's going on in the multiple and mixed aspects that we have. Nothing's either all good or all challenging and bad right now. It is definitely nuanced and there's a great deal of potential. It feels like there is fate, destiny, or karmic lessons or some divine order that's also at play, because it seems as though Neptune retrograde with that North Node in Aries are interacting with the Leo and Virgo energy that we have with that Moon-Sun conjunction, the new moon in Leo, as well as that Venus and Mercury conjunction in Leo Virgo, where we have that sesquisquare, that black dotted line you see there, and the yod, the green lines, connecting Pluto and Neptune and directing the energy of that sextile, and by extension, everything that Pluto and Neptune interact with is also being funneled up there. Basically, everything somehow, it's almost like a Rube Goldberg type of a thing. This touches that, touches that, touches that, and it all pushes something along. There are resistances in the squares, but they do involve the two most physical or material planets, the ones that are most focused on, being here in body, being human, working, doing things. So we have the spiritual component with the North Node and Neptune playing a strong factor, but we have things here that are grounding us or keeping us back in our 3D mindset, that we're just human, we're just little people running around with jobs to do. And if we only work harder or try harder, we'll make the changes or we'll manifest what we need. To a certain extent, yes, but it also pays to work a little bit smarter than harder. And that's something that I think a Mercury in Virgo is particularly good at doing, at being able to observe, discern, assess what's going to be pragmatic and useful, and eliminate everything else, and then get down to the business of fixing something or being of service and just doing what seems most logical and practical. That is still tied into spirituality and empowerment, or wanting to function at a higher level even when taking care of mundane things. There may be things on the physical and material level that you come up against with these squares that do create either an inner or outer resistance, because that's what squares tend to do. Not quite as strong as an opposition, but still create some tension or resistance. And you will have to try harder. Or if you run into a blockage and there's no way around, below, above, through it, then it may be that you are meant to be looking in a different direction, which is what we have Mars and Jupiter for right now. It's giving you alternate pathways and an imagination. And some of that, as I mentioned, the beginner luck, where you're willing to take those risks or chances. And the riskiness or creativity and imagination are definitely enhanced by the sextile that new moon is forming with those Gemini planets. Uranus is doing fairly well here in pushing for change, but again, we have some resistance, and it may be possible that there are breakups in relationships, or that's it, I'm out of here, I hate this job, or I have to move from this place. Will it actually stick or not? That's kind of a 50-50 thing. Because we are entering into a retrograde time period and Venus will be hanging out for a bit there with Mercury. So breakups might not be entirely the end right now. There may be time and room for apologies or seeing an issue from somebody else's perspective as you go through the Mercury retrograde time period. And I think most of you know that retrograde time periods with the fast-moving planets like Mercury, Venus, or Mars can definitely bring exes back. That doesn't always mean it's going to work out the next time around. That really is dependent upon what the two individuals have gone through and whether they've grown and changed. Sometimes they just repeat the same patterns. Chiron, the same thing. We have supportive energy going on here in a trine to Venus and Mercury, that you're willing to do what needs to be done, and you can tap into the courage and the drive or the self-protective energy that maybe nobody will do for you what you can do better for yourself. But again, some resistance or fear in this square. I think particularly there can be a fear of being ostracized or not accepted by the larger group, because Pluto is at that 0 degrees of Aquarius, and Aquarius is, the friends, the group, humanity, society as a whole. And if you were to take the more radical path of Pluto trying to Uranus and Mars and Jupiter and follow through on something that feels that no matter how different it might be, if you are spiritually led to behave in a certain way or believe in a certain thing and follow that path, there will be people who think you're crazy or will let go of you. And maybe that's a good thing too. Maybe you need to find new friends or hang out with the people who are going to support you and believe in your ideas and your creativity rather than hang around with the people who are ooh, tapping into this Saturn retrograde in Pisces squaring Mars and Jupiter. Oh, that'll never work. Or I tried that, it didn't work. Or nobody I know has ever been able to do that. Or that can't possibly be right. So there's a little bit of negative Nelly in there with that Jupiter Saturn square. The good thing about a Jupiter Saturn square is that sometimes it moderates the excess of Jupiter because Saturn is like that brake pedal and Jupiter's the gas pedal, and it's hard to drive a car with your feet on both pedals at the same time. But Jupiter, generally a benevolent planet, can be prone to excesses, and it is fired up right now and definitely magnified because a Pluto Jupiter trine is big and more of something. Pluto makes everything larger, and when Jupiter and Pluto get together, usually it's about more money. With Mars here joining Jupiter and the impulse of action on especially speculative or new things or unproven things or something that you're totally naive about, like, yay, I'm going to go get into cryptocurrency, but you don't study it or anything. You just decide you're going to go take your life savings and put it all in crypto. Slow down, be careful a little bit, and maybe do a little research and investigating to find out all you possibly can before you take those risks. Because even though we have a lovely money enhancing trine and a nice luck factor sextile, we still have squares here that show you could be your own worst enemy if you don't do your due diligence and maybe ask some questions or investigate or find out, are there other people who got on board with that MLM company and where are they now? Uh, are they still in that MLM company or whatever? So go a little slow when you can. Um, it's better, I think, to work it all out in the let's pretend zone, particularly while we have Piscean energy and imaginative, Pisces, that's all in dreamland there. And Gemini, imagination, doing it at the beginning stages, acting as if. And Leo, the creative side of it. But take your time. And as I mentioned in the forecast, because there is some sort of undercurrent going on that has more of a spiritual than a material focus, consider that there may be higher powers that have bigger and better plans for you than you are able to plan for yourself. So if something doesn't go the way you would like it to go, there could be a good reason for that, and there may be something better on the way. You may just have to ride out that Mercury retrograde time period to be able to see it come to fruition fully. Don't lose faith or hope, though. Stay optimistic and positive that, if not this, then something better. Let's take a look at the Sabian symbol. We round up to 13 degrees. We have phase 133, an old sea captain rocking himself on the porch of his cottage Keynote: the quieted mind's recollections of crises and joys long past. The sea captain has steered the ship of his ego consciousness through seas and storms, maintaining the integrity of his individual selfhood while in close contact with the collective unconscious. Now retired, he may try to distill wisdom from his many experiences and from his victories over elemental forces. The swing of the child consciousness has now become a rocking chair from which one can contemplate past as well as present scenes, gently moving as waves roll over the shore. Peace at last. At this third stage, we find the consciousness of old age after having witnessed the spontaneous play of children close to protective nature. That refers back to a different symbol. And the fashionable social parties of escaping adults. Leo 12. So there's been a sequence of 3 symbols. 3 phases of mental development. Keyword: quiet recollection. Definitely the feeling that I get from the chart at this time, what's happening in the sky, is that we have old stuff, but there are opportunities with new stuff or a reimagining and a reworking with the same raw material, putting something entirely different together, having a different perspective. And that is often what the next new generation brings in. Gemini and Leo are childlike, particularly since Leo rules the 5th house, children and creativity, and Gemini rules the 3rd house, communication, early education, neighborhood and community, siblings. So we have that early stage energy with Gemini and Leo right now, but we have some rather slower, older stuff, particularly with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And Pisces rules the 12th house, and that's the collective and the unconscious, as it mentioned in the Sabian symbol, plus their retrograde. And Pluto is about to slide back into Capricorn shortly. And that, of course, is our furthest planet, and that is the empowerment or the disempowerment, the fear, the control, the crisis, and it mentions the crises in there, the transformation and upheaval. It is an interesting mix of old and new, and if you can engage in relationships where different generations overlap so that you can learn the wisdom from those who are older as you are embarking on new things, that can be helpful. And if you are older, turn to those who are younger and tune into what their issues are right now in the world, what their interests are, and that may shift your perspective about life as well. I think that's it for now. As always, during a Mercury retrograde time period, please be careful with your communications, your transportation. Avoid buying new cars, computers, phones, unless you absolutely have to. If you are traveling, double check all your tickets, your luggage, keys, whatnot. Leave extra time to get to where you need to go. Lots of extra time. Make sure your car is roadworthy. If you get intuitive hits not to do something, then don't. And if you find that in your travels somehow you're delayed or diverted or whatever, bless the situation, because it is likely that there's a good reason for it. Retrograde time periods are not always negative. In fact, they give us another chance to go back over things. And I sometimes do my best editing and work and see things that I did not see before when there's a Mercury retrograde. So pay attention to where that planet is moving in your own natal chart, with all the activity that is going on. And full moon in Aquarius, sign of change in the future coming up 2 weeks from now. I am available. I have openings on my schedule if you would like to know where these things are happening within your own natal chart. Take care, stay safe, enjoy the end of summer, or for many of you, you're already back in school and working life is picking up. Be happy, healthy, and creative. Follow your heart. Take care, and I'll speak with you soon.